Hey, besties.
Hey.
Welcome back for another episode of the Hello Bestie podcast. I'm Maggie.
I'm Tashima.
And it's book club, guys.
Yay!
Last episode of the month, book club. This month, our pick was Gone Girl, which, had a movie in 2014. And I think when we initially picked this, we couldn't remember if it was actually a movie or not. Yeah. But neither one of us had seen the movie or read the book. So here we are. Yeah. We have read Gone Girl.
So a brief synopsis of the storyline or the plot is on their 5th wedding anniversary, writer-teacher Nick Dunn returns home to find his wife Amy missing. So that's like...
bare bones.
Yeah, that's the basic version of what is happening.
Yeah.
So neither one of us knew anything about this book before we decided to read it. Mm-hmm. And we know that it's been out for a while, but we just... we're like salmon. We like to go against what mainstream is doing. So here we are. Thank you for indulging us.
Thank you for indulging.
So what are your thoughts from 1 to 5? How much did you like it or hate it?
I loved the book up until the ending.
Interesting.
I was very disappointed in the ending to the point where I almost felt like a waste.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was upset at the ending. I did not like it at all.
So how many stars would you give the book?
A 4.
Okay.
Yeah. Would have been a 5 had not been for that ending.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I would give it a solid 4 as well. I was okay with the ending. I think for me, I gave it a 4 because it took a hot minute for things to really get going.
It took a really long time.
I think by, where was I?
We did the audio, and I think this was a 20-hour audio book.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely, we're 12 hours in before things really started to kind of get into motion, which is a long time in terms of like audiobook time.
Right.
So, yeah.
It came in 3 parts, and I think the first sentence of part 2 was when it was like, when it got real. But to your point.
What do you mean? Give the first sentence of, I don't remember parts.
Yeah, there was part 1, part 2, part 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Part 2 was when it switched from Amy, like initially the part 1 was Nick telling the story, and then you had Amy's diary entries.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Part 2 is when it switched to Amy. She's now telling her side of the story as opposed to you only getting the diary entries from her.
Yeah, and I think that was like, let's see.
It took a while.
Yeah, it was 10. I wrote 10 hours in, and we find out. Yeah. 10 hours in, and I was like, wow, that was a long wait.
It was a very long wait. Yeah.
So, tell me your thoughts.
Okay, so I like the basic premise of it. I will say in the beginning, I thought it was, I enjoyed the writing style because it seemed very apparent that, okay, he murdered her. Because there were comments that were made throughout like, oh, I can see my wife's, blood on the floor and her head bashed in. So it gave you the illusion of, okay, he clearly murdered his wife. This is just going to go into long detail about how and why he did it. And then it got to a point to where, oh, snap, he didn't. And then I just think like how he was viewed publicly of his reaction to how everything was happening and how he would smile at inopportune times and do things like that. I like the twist that I got when you found out that she is not who she portrayed herself to be in the diary entries. I think the level of psychosis was wild. Amazing. But extremely impressive.
Yeah.
And amazing.
Like to be able to go back and do all of those journal entries and making sure that it lined up with things that actually happened. Like the level of commitment you have to applaud.
Yeah.
Like the patience, and I think is impressive.
So basically, if the besties have not seen the movie, and I don't know how good of a correlation the movie is to the book, just speaking from the book. it appears that his wife has disappeared on their 5-year anniversary. As you continue reading, you come to find out that he had an affair. So, like, kind of all these things are lining up to give him valid motive. He doesn't appear to be apologetic in the press. He doesn't appear to be really upset about his wife's disappearance. And he also referred to her in the past tense a couple of times where other people heard. So it was just really giving that he did this to her. He basically does a drunken interview with someone and turns around public opinion at that point. And like Tashima said, about 10 hours in, you find out that he didn't do anything to her. She has orchestrated this whole thing. She made diary entries of kind of like I'm not going to say she made herself a battered wife per se, but then she did, because she tried to make it seem like he poisoned her, and she came off very much like, I just love my husband so much. I want it to work, and I just want us to get back to how we were. And she would do these scavenger hunts on their anniversary every single year. And she found out through following him that he was having an affair. So her last scavenger hunt that she did on the 5-year anniversary basically took him to places where he had actively slept with this girl, and all of her clues were kind of like little FUs. I will say, it would be really cool to be taken on a scavenger hunt like that. I love the idea of a cute little rhyme, and then I go to this place in the city and look under, not, purposes of that, but I think that idea is very cool to like come up with a rhyme that makes sense to this thing. But I don't know. I thought the book was good. I thought it took too long, and that's one of the reasons why I was so upset at the ending, because I just felt like the ending happened so fast. Like, you drug out all of this, and then now in the ending, that's just it. And I think what bothered me more was that I saw there were 44 minutes left when she dropped the last bombshell, and then it just cut off. In the last part of the audiobook was the author explaining alternate endings, or just not alternate endings, but just
more detail,
more scenes that didn't make it to the actual book. So then I was really thinking, okay, well, we got another 45 minutes. Like, let's see how this ends. And then it just abruptly ended. So I would have been more happy with him actually choking her out and killing her, and then him spending time in jail. But while he was killing her, I remember being like, no, man, don't. Now you're going to go down for this. And like, this was all her fault and stuff. So then it's like her just saying that she's pregnant, and then him telling his sister, go, and her crying and being like, this wasn't what I had pictured. And him calling the cop, and the cop just kind of being like, oh, good luck to you and your baby. And then the baby's due tomorrow. Wish he wouldn't have said that. Don't have anything else to say, but I think I should get the last word, and that be it. So it just felt like you murdered a man. You orchestrated your own murder, which she did perfectly, by the way.
Yeah. Kudos to her.
That part just reeked of white privilege. I'm sorry. That's all I could think about at the end. I felt like at the end that could have happened to anyone, and then that ending made me feel like only a white woman can get away with something like that. It was just, that's how I felt about the ending.
The whole time, for some reason, I didn't picture Amy as a blonde. I just pictured her as a redhead. And I really don't know why. I could not, every time they talked about little blonde hairs that she planted here and there and all of that stuff, like rolling around in the trunk and then finding 3 long hairs from before she cut her hair. I'm like, no, she's a redhead. I don't know why. It's just a redhead.
Do you think redheads are crazies?
No, I just pictured her as a redhead for some reason. So some of my theories in the very beginning was that Amy did another treasure hunt, and that she was at the end of the treasure hunt, but she basically died because he didn't get to her in time because he's so bad at them. This was obviously in the very beginning. Yeah. And then I also was like, why is Amy so delusional and accommodating in the beginning, and just, like, then being dismissive of how, and then being upset about how dismissive he was, when in the beginning she's like, everything's fine. It's okay that he didn't show up to dinner with my friends. You didn't miss anything. You would have hated it. But then turning around and then being bitter. But then obviously we know now that all of that was just
Mm-hmm.
big facade. And then her journal quizzes are just like the ones that her parents put in the book.
I found those annoying. I left my journal at home, but I
Does
wrote
she
down they're
A
annoying.
this, B this, D this, which I think is very interesting that her career was personality quizzes or
Mm-hmm.
relationship quizzes when her parents put quizzes in their books.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like that all just kind of came full circle.
Mm-hmm. It fit with the story, but I just found them annoying. And something
Yeah.
else that we didn't mention too. So this was a very highly publicized disappearance, even more so than a traditional disappearance would be, because her parents were she was the inspiration for her parents' Amazing Amy children's series.
Right.
So, you know, it's like it was in all the elementary schools and different things. And so, you know, it was this whole
And then they
extra
didn't
media
manage
circus.
their money well, so then they ended up having to take money from her trust fund,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much cleaning her out, and then she gave whatever little bit of money she had left to her husband
Mm-hmm.
to open a bar with his sister, and then he cheated on her
Yeah.
after clearing her out.
So this was very much a story of, you know, well-to-do girl brought up in a rich family, kind of got everything that she wanted, most popular, a lot of friends, things like that. And she's super psychopath. And another interesting twist they had too, she had kind of made claims throughout her life that a best friend of hers in middle school was trying to play like the best friend that was in the children's books. And she convinced this friend to, what did she do to her mom? Like run up to her mom and
Try to
say
replace
something.
her.
Yeah, like I'm going to replace Amy. And an ex-boyfriend that she had, she said that he was stalking her and that he tried to,
Like he was obsessed with her,
yes,
and
he
then there
tried
was another
to
guy who
unalive himself in her dorm
essayed.
room bed, essayed. And yeah, she claimed that someone essayed her when they didn't. And the police had looked into these people, but as a result of Amy kind of mind screwing them, their lives were not going as planned. So they didn't have any credibility. So yeah, you just learned that she just went through life
She was very patient.
playing with people like they're checkers pieces. And the husband even made a comment like, let me explain to you the type of person that my wife is. There was a guy, they were driving in traffic that had cut her off and done something to her. And they had one of those signs on the car that basically said, how am I doing? How's my driving? She called and complained on that guy, gave them the license plate and everything. And the husband said that 2 months later, he walked into the bedroom and she was calling that person, like calling the company again to complain on that same person, that same license plate. And that just goes to the patients, like you said, just making a conscious effort to screw
But she
people
didn't
over.
just call them. She made up a story about her being like a single mom of 2 children and how afraid she was because of the truck driver's poor driving. Like
Yeah.
this whole big
Trying to get him fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was about like 5 hours in. I speculated that she had planned her own abduction or murder to expose Nick for the oblivious dick that he is. At 6 hours and 41 minutes, it basically is exposed that he was a cheater. From the moment that he mentioned having a little burner phone, it was very obvious.
Yeah, right,
Like,
right. Same thing. It was like, what else were you using
trust
this
us
for?
a little bit. And then I bet Amy found out. I wonder if the treasure hunt will make him look like he did something to her as revenge because he's always evasive and telling half-truths. The fact that he really annoyed me, like to no end in the beginning. Just when they would ask him a question, he would tell a lie.
Right.
For no reason at all.
Right. Like the reservations and stuff like that. And then you started tripping over it.
Like,
right.
We were happy. Really? Because your neighbor heard you arguing. Like, if you weren't happy, just say you weren't happy. Like, things were weird. Like,
I mean, in a murder investigation, like I understood why he lied on that part of it, but like at that,
it always comes out. They're gonna talk to the most random people.
Yeah. No, you should tell the truth, but I understand. But like he's that was my 11th lie. It wasn't the first, but stupid stuff.
No, it was raining. Really? Because it was like he was just telling lies about really
stupid
dumb
stuff.
things that didn't make sense. Then about 10 hours in, we find out that she was lying, and I knew it. And then one of my favorite quotes from her, is so inappropriate, but it's so funny. So this is at the point where you hear her side of the story in her own voice,
Mm-hmm.
no longer the Journal Amy. Journal Amy was very annoying. Like, she was so obnoxious, but I mean, it makes sense now.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't really know that that's not her actual thoughts until you find out that she's lying.
Yeah.
But she wrote, I've smelled her twat on his fingers as he slips into bed.
Yeah.
It's like, real Amy was a savage.
No, she was for sure. She would make comments
so
like,
funny.
"Ugly girls always do stuff like this," or "Okay," I was like, "Damn, she's
Real Amy
vicious."
was a bitch.
I will say, I was happy she got robbed.
I felt bad for her.
I never felt bad for her. Once I found out who she was and what she was doing, I didn't feel bad for her at all.
She's so stupid.
So in her hideaway, she basically had been siphoning off money from their bank account, and she had been saving money. And I think she had like $9,000 at one point, and then they get down to 8,000. And I just picture like a little fanny pack that she would have that held all the cash in it. So she had basically cut her hair, just gained some weight, tried to disguise herself as best she could. And she basically went to this secluded cabin village or something like that. And
sounded like a little motel duplex situation.
Yeah. And she would watch the media coverage on her story and just, she would make comments like, oh, it was like creating a masterpiece and just sitting back and watching it unfold. I wonder when they're going to find this little thing that I planted and that little thing that I planted. So I don't know. It was just evilness, I thought, on a different level.
Yeah, she was
very
really
impressive, though. She covered her tracks.
I did speculate that Jeff and Greta were going to kill her for the money and that it would be kind of like karma type thing.
She said that, what are the odds that I actually get murdered?
Yeah. And then when she was talking about killing herself, she talked about that before you realized that she wasn't even pregnant.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait, she's going to kill herself and her baby? What? This bitch is really crazy.
That was the first thing I said. It was crazy. I'm like, so you're going to go through all of this just so you can see him go to jail and then you're going to off yourself?
Yeah.
Ain't that much get back in the world that I'm going to hurt myself to try to, no, absolutely not.
It was very anticlimactic. Like when you think about that was her ending.
Yeah.
When she, I wrote, let's see. I said, Desi handing Amy the two $20 bills, that was the moment Amy realized she fucked up.
Yeah, that was.
Like,
she's like, he pressed them into my palm.
You really messed up calling him. And it, I mean, obviously, because when she started talking about the fact that he had all of the flowers and all of this stuff, like this little room and shrine and all, she was like, it didn't smell like fresh paint. These flowers have been there. Like he had been waiting for the moment to get her into his house, and she was just gonna be his pet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was crazy too, for sure. And definitely. You know, so this guy who she's talking about is Desi, who was the ex-boyfriend that she had actually said tried to unalive himself in her bed, and he somehow forgave her for that. Didn't think it was that. Oh, just crazy Amy.
Also said that his mom slapped her mom.
Yeah, like lied on his mom. Okay. So yeah, this guy was super rich and she called on him. He came to her rescue.
After she got robbed by Greta and Jeff.
Took her to his compound that no one knew about because he was balling like that. And she thought in her head he's just going to give her money and she's just going to be able to live it out. But he kind of wanted to be with her. So he would keep coming over the house and she couldn't really tell him to leave because it's not her house. He's doing her a favor and just it's smothering her, you know, but.
And keeping her as a little trophy hidden away in his lake house. And there was really no way for her to escape.
Yeah, she said it essentially felt like a prison. She's like, there are no ladders. I checked. There's. Yeah. So
she basically murdered him and then escaped and accused him of having kidnapped her all along, which couldn't have worked out better if she planned it that way.
Right.
But she didn't.
because the
Yeah.
police had questioned him, and she even threw that in the officer's face. Like, wow, so imagine me thinking you finally caught him and he
Yeah.
had me the whole time kind of thing. It's just, she was literally one of those people who thought of everything. And I was
Everything.
just hoping that she got slipped up on something,
Yeah.
but she didn't. So, I mean,
And the baby thing was really the cherry on top. Like the ultimate fuck you.
when the friend broke the rally, I remember writing down in my journal, like, oh shit, friend just made it real. So they were having a candlelight vigil for her. And the husband didn't know a lot of things about his wife, and that was another thing that was weird. The police would ask him a question: what size do your wife wear? What blood type is she? Things that you would anticipate a partner knowing, and he didn't know any of this stuff. And he's like, oh, well, who are some of your wife's friends around here? And he's like, oh, my wife doesn't really have any friends. She was kind of one of those people that would be really into someone for this week, and then a few weeks later, oh, how's Sharon doing? Who's Sharon?
Yeah.
And she had apparently, part of her master plan, befriended this gullible woman who,
Neighbor.
yep, had kids and was kind of confiding in her and telling her how difficult her life was with her husband and this and that. And when they were having the candlelight vigil, the friend broke up to, kind of parted the seas of the people and ran up there on stage and it's basically like, he killed her. I tried to talk to the police and they aren't helping, and she's pregnant. And that was just like, mic drop. So of course he's getting all this
Yeah.
cameras flashing and everything. So she really did just.
Yeah, she got it. She stuck it to him good. I felt really bad for him in the end, but I could see that happening in real life.
I can't. I
I
think
mean,
that's why I
not to
struggled
the
with.
extreme,
Hmm.
but where somebody would like throw in the towel. Like, you have my kid. What am I gonna do? Like, nobody's gonna believe me. I have no credibility. There's no way I'm gonna be able to take this kid from you. And knowing that this is something that he's always wanted, I could see somebody saying, "You win."
I can't.
Hmm.
Yeah, very hard for me to stomach that, and I just felt like it was buttoned up so quickly. Like we
Hmm.
dragged. You could have taken out a couple hours out of that and spent more time on the actual ending, like her actually having the baby and him pretending to be cool, but then continuing this investigation with Go and the police officer. Like I just felt like it. I think I wanted justice and I didn't get justice, which is okay. But him killing her and doing the time wouldn't have been justice, but I would have been more happy with that than, oh, she just got to come back after committing a murder, and because she covered her tracks so good, now they just pretend to be happy for public appearances and now raise this baby. It's probably going to be a little psycho because he was psycho too. And he started saying things like, who am I going to be without her? And I am who I am because of her, and she
It's just
knows it.
toxic
It's just super
relationship.
toxic relationship on, a ridiculous level. But
I felt bad for him because I felt like the way that it ended, he will eventually be just like his dad, which is what he didn't want.
I didn't like his dad at
Like, he
all.
would just become this old, bitter person who hates this one particular woman,
Hmm.
and he will be, old and gray and just be like,
Bitch,
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 bitch. Right.
bitch. But she was very meticulous in the way that she orchestrated everything. And, from the beginning, it just seemed like she just had it all kind of lined up.
It was very much she was playing chess the whole time. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I just want to see her downfall.
Yeah.
I just want to see her downfall so bad because that's just manipulation on a whole different level.
It
And
is.
it
It's
felt like,
impressive.
I understand you being upset that he cheated on you, but I didn't like when she's like, oh, you have to try to pretend to be the cool girl. I understand at the beginning of a relationship, everyone is their best self, and it takes a while. But she's like, yeah, I have multiple different personalities, and people should understand that. Like, for that long, it seemed like she played the cool girl for like years and then got mad at him when she did a complete 180 and he wasn't happy with it because that wasn't what he signed on for. Like, how dumb could he be to think I'd be okay with him, you know,
Yeah.
getting upset at things that women normally get upset about? And so I don't know.
But that was also a person who was raised in an environment where she at an early age was able to manipulate her parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't have an identity. Like, her whole purpose was just manipulating people to get what she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And saying whatever it is that they wanted to hear, you know, with these little questions that they would ask her for their books and their, you know, experiments and their psychological testing and stuff that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was her whole entire existence. Without those things, she had no sense of self. So if she wasn't manipulating somebody to get what she wanted, there was no purpose, which isn't why she would move on to somebody else.
It's just weird how she would, like the girl who she screwed over, she sent a typed letter to her saying something slick, and then the guy who she accused of essaying her,
Yeah.
and then she ended up dropping the charges. And just the pure craziness of hurting yourself and causing harm to yourself in the spite, like, in the name of pettiness is crazy.
Yeah. She's like the lady from A Thin Line Between Love and Hate.
Yeah.
Who would like beat herself and then say that,
right.
Yeah. He attacked her and beat her. And
then she was slick with it too, because he's like, you got to tell me the truth. Like, it just feels like you can't go through all that and then just get to come back because you have this awesome excuse and now you get to live on. I don't know. It's just, it really bothered me.
Get a good book deal, have the baby, and live the life. Like,
and then tell him that he has to commit to saying that she was right, that she didn't. It bothered me so much. I would have rather took her out and then went to jail for that or something. I just want Amy to go down.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. It was a little bit drawn out in the beginning before things got rolling, but you know, I don't know. Overall, I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it.
Do you think it's a movie you would want to see, or are you like, I'm good?
Well, I did talk to my cousin, and she said that the movie and the book were very much in line. So I feel like it would be worth me watching it, but you know, I'm very apprehensive when it comes to stuff like that. So I think, I don't know, like I feel like the movie is just going to lose some of that detail and it will piss me off. So I don't know. But I heard the movie is really good.
I've heard really good things about the movie. I would, as much as I hated the ending, I want to see it, but just seeing how psycho she was, I've heard that the woman who played her, Rosalind, did an amazing job in portraying that. And I just think visually it would be interesting to see that brought to life. But if you're going to take a 20-hour audiobook and turn it into a 2-hour, 2.5-hour movie, I'm sure that they had to be very cautious about what to include. So I'll give them grace on that. But I did look at the trailer, and from the trailer, it looked pretty. They did a good job making you think it was him.
Yeah.
And I think the writing did a really good job making it feel like it was him at the beginning.
Really great.
Yeah. So
because even for a moment, I thought it might have been Andy.
Yeah,
his little,
me too.
Little side thing.
She annoyed me.
I don't know. I think she fit the part.
Extremely annoying. I remember when it was released how young she was, and I was like, wow, typical man, gotta feel like a man to cheat with this younger girl who you know.
And she was so needy.
That's what bothered me.
I'm so scared. I need you to call me once a day, even for 10 seconds. I was like, you would obviously, that's an age thing. I could see a younger person being like that. I feel like she came across very much her age.
She was probably true to character, but it's just like, bitch, it's a murder investigation. Why are you making yourself relevant? We should go to the police. It's just, I don't know. She was annoying. Or maybe it's how he would do the voice. I didn't care for the male's voice. I'll say that. I liked Amy's voice a lot. And then he would like, you know, voice other people. That grew on me eventually, but I found that I feel that way a lot about audiobooks.
You're very particular about voices.
I am.
Because I'm like, I feel like everybody's voice fit.
Yeah, he annoyed me some, but I don't know. I went from being like, wow, jackass, and then, damn, I want you to win this, and then, damn, so that's how you gonna go out, player?
Yeah.
You just gonna let her win?
With tail between his legs.
That's how I felt. You just gonna let her win?
Yeah.
So.
All right, besties. Well, let us know your thoughts about Gone Girl. I mean, many of you probably have already either seen the movie or read the book, so definitely would like to hear your opinion on it. And then you have picked our book for
January. Yes, it is The Pivot Year by Brianna Wiest. So be sure to check that out. We thought it would be a good fresh start to the year. And it is basically 365, not devotions, but just daily advice for the year. So be sure to check that out. We'll be chatting about that at the end of next month.
A good way to kick off the new year with some good habits and stuff like that.
Yep. Good positivity. So thank you guys for everything. You have a wonderful and safe, happy new year.
Yep. We will see you in 2025.
Crazy.
Bye, besties.
Bye.